Libra, and welcome to Involution. The revolution is within your 2017 spring reading. My name is Eric Francis. It's good to be here with you. All right, I'm working with this chart, the Libra solar chart, and the chart is cast for the summer solstice, which takes place in a few weeks, and then I've overlaid some factors from the total solar eclipse chart, which takes place on August 21st. So we're looking really at events that lead into the August 21 event, and a lot of this is developing and going on in the background, and a lot of that deserves a re-summarization, because the planets that are involved are slow-moving planets, and their effect is often invisible, or what you might think of as environmental, in the background, until for some reason it emerges into the foreground, and then suddenly we're dealing with something, and then we find out that the roots go back many years. So the one thing that is shaping the life of Libra and Libra rising, in my view, as a spiritual theme, is involved with Pluto in Capricorn. Astrology is a science of studying polarities, and the polarities that affect the Libra axis are Aries Libra going one way, and then Cancer Capricorn going another way. So there's the kind of the X and Y axis. And at the bottom of your chart, at the level of the ground that you stand on, right, is Capricorn. And what's interesting about this is that, Capricorn is the solid thing. Capricorn is the home mortgage. Capricorn is the federal government. It's the post office. It's the blue chip stock. It's it's kind of the rock upon which Jesus built his church. Right. That's kind of the imagery of Capricorn. It's an earth sign, but it's the rocky, mountainous earth sign, and it's in a kind of watery part of the sky, which is why a goat who normally leaps around from rock to rock has a tail. But that's a little bit off of our wavelength. What's been going on in Capricorn, going back now 10 years, is that Pluto has been active in your fourth house. So let's just take a look at how this works. Okay, something is good. All right, my screen freezed up. All right. Here is Libra, first house. Fourth house, here, Capricorn, way down on the bottom of the chart. And Pluto is here, and Pluto is now about 2/3 of the way through, but it's about to enter a whole new peak of activity. So there were several peaks of Pluto and Capricorn, the first of which happened in 2007, 2008, just as Pluto was changing signs, when basically the bottom fell out of the American economy in the form of a whole bunch of fraud and bullshit investments involving the American dream, the home. Okay, big siren outside the window. All right, and there have been a series of peaks of this, and yet all through this whole thing is this sensation of the structure, the ground we stand on, coming out from under us. And this is going on in your chart in the angle of the ground we stand on. So all of the other aspects I'm going to describe come back to this theme of the ground we stand on, and in particular, the ground that you stand on, the security base of your chart, you might say. And what happens when Pluto is in the house of the security base, whether that's by transit or whether it is by a natal position of Pluto in the fourth house, is that it is necessary to dig deep roots and to learn the art of emotional independence. And this is particularly critical for the sign Libra, because so much about the sign Libra is relational. It's about our interrelationships with others. It is about the family. And when that ground is removed in some way, when that ground is taken away, you're put in a position where you have to provide that for yourself. And what has been going on is there are many other transits that describe other ways in which the ground of reality is changing, is shifting. The most important of these is Uranus going through your 7th house. And remember that some of the kind of Linda Goodman type descriptions of Libra are true, which is that Librans often do seek balance in their lives. They often do seek a sense of mutuality. And so here's Libra. When we put Uranus in your 7th house, which is the house of relationships, that is anything but stable. And the implication is that you keep getting put back onto yourself to find your sense of stability and your sense of companionship, your sense of camaraderie with anyone keeps coming back to you. It keeps coming back to your necessity of being able to stand on your own and take care of yourself. Now, this would make less sense without Pluto in the 4th house. It might just seem like you were at the whim of the fates, who seem determined to do everything that's contrary to your nature. And it has probably been challenging to maintain the kind of stability in your personal relationships that you want. And that has led you to make certain decisions about the nature of your relationships, about what you can expect from people. There's likely to be a question of trust that must be addressed. And when we take that back into the context of Pluto in the 4th house and the questioning of this underlying ground, then it starts to have more meaning. And my interpretation of your charts is that you are being prepared for a very high calling of some kind, where it is necessary that you have your own ground of reality rather than depending upon the ground of reality that was given to you, the things you were told that you could or should expect from life, the things you were told you could or should expect from family and from your interpersonal relationships. You're being compelled to define your groundedness in your own way and to openly question, for example, all of the presumptions that you were told to make about yourself and about life as a child. It's likely that the structure of your family has changed significantly since then, and that many of the things that you were told were so are demonstrably no longer true if they ever were true, right? And so this is everything but what Libra is described to want, and in reality what most people can handle comfortably or easily, right? There's real challenges implied here on almost every level of your reality. Now, one of the things that's been happening this year in particular is that you've had Jupiter in your sign. And were this some other planet, a smaller planet, or less helpful planet, well, that'll be a different story. But we're talking about Jupiter, the largest planet, a denser planet than Saturn, by the way. It's Jupiter's the one that's usually thought to be all airy-fairy, and Saturn's all solid. But physically, anyway, Jupiter is the denser orbiting body. This has provided you with an opportunity to gain some stability, to organize to some extent a balance in your reality. And this has been a long time coming. And the beauty of these transits is that you are experiencing an opportunity to test the feeling of balance and to test your trust in yourself and in the world after a period of many challenges. Okay, a few other things are happening, just kind of like in the long term, in the long term scenario. One of them is that there is a lot of activity in Pisces, and Pisces is your house of well-being, and the extraordinary emotional and physical sensitivity of Librans is described by Pisces on the 6th house. It is difficult to have anything tangible where Pisces is, and now you've got Pisces going on with Neptune in it, adding to a kind of a watery and nondescript quality, and you've had about 7 years of Chiron moving through there as well. Now, the presence of Chiron has provided a focusing element that in the midst of changes in relationships and changes in family and this ongoing experience of the underlying ground of reality changing, Chiron has placed a focus on your health and your well-being and been compelling you to make decisions that benefit your life, and of necessity, from other information coming in from the chart, you're having to do this irrespective of what partners might think, irrespective of what your family might think. You really are at a point where you must do what is right for you because you're the only one impacted, because it really is no one else's business. And this whole thing about doing what's right for everyone else is a kind of a con job. It is not the way that you can live if you want to be happy. That is not to say that it's not appropriate and indeed important to you to be of assistance to others, but that is different than living the priorities of other people, which basically has become next to impossible. Others have just proven themselves to be insufficiently dependable to base your life on them. Now, what has happened is that you have been confronted by and engaged with interesting people who live on different terms, and this has enabled and facilitated you to update the terms of your relationship with existence. You have had to set your own terms, and you've had examples for how to do that. There have been positive examples, there have been negative examples, there have been examples where you could choose to adopt the ideas and the approaches to life that certain people have had. There are examples where you've thought, absolutely no way, I cannot abide this. This is not the way that I can live or ever intend to live. And so you've had to become discerning and discriminating. The other part about the transits through the 6th house, focusing your need to take care of yourself, involve really being with the nexus between what you experience emotionally and what you experience physically. There's a word that used to be a kind of an insult. Previous to that, it was considered a real concept, then it became a kind of an insult, and now we're understanding that this is in many ways the essence of health, and that word is psychosomatic. When we were growing up, the word meant fake. It meant a fake illness or something that was merely in your mind. It's a complete misunderstanding of the concept. It consists of two words, psyche and soma, and the psyche part means your mind, or properly from Greek, your soul, and the soma part means your body. And so psychosomatic means understanding that there is a relationship between one's emotional life and one's physical life. And this is to say that you are very strongly influenced physically by what's going on in your emotional environment, and in particular, your work environment. Your work environment is the place where you need to pay the most attention. It's probably the one place you spend the most time, and you cannot have a work environment where there are toxins. And I hope I've said this in every extended LIBRA reading where I get a chance to explain this idea, but you must research your environment for toxins of any form, whether those toxins are the presence of other people, whether they are the condition of the building that you work in, and simply whether the place you work is beautiful enough and aesthetically pleasing enough to be somewhere that you want to come every day. And if it is not clear enough for you and not aesthetically pleasing enough for you, you're going to pay a price psychologically, emotionally, and physically. And so if you are experiencing any health issues, particularly the kind that don't seem to have a cause, which are the kind that conventional Western doctors seem to be the least able to do anything about because it defies all of their models, look to your environment for information. And you could take that as a general cue for how to handle yourself, how to solve any problem that you've got, is to look to your environment for information. Now, there is a theme that shows up with the eclipse, and it keyed me into something I hadn't thought of before. When I was writing the summary for your sign, this became a kind of a crystallization point for me. The eclipse, the Great American Eclipse that is going to happen on August 21st, takes place right near the Virgo, Leo-Virgo meeting area, right? There's Leo. That's your 11th house. That's out in the open. This is where you actually engage people and talk to them, and people know things about you. And then the 12th, which is Virgo, has the opposite property. It is I consider it the house of secrets we won't even reveal to ourselves, right? The 8th house, where there are secrets, are as Bono said, the secrets that we tell one other person. The 12th house are the secrets we will not even tell ourselves, which is another way of saying denial, but it's an odd kind of denial because it's there are built-in veils and built-in kind of points of obfuscation, and things just might not seem real. You're not trying to actively deny something, but it just doesn't seem real enough to make a difference. And what's happening with this eclipse is that the meeting of the sun and the moon in this very potent, unusually potent, and in American history unprecedented eclipse is taking place on the line between your open, public, you might say social construction self in the 11th in Leo, and the 12th, which is where you might say the house of social deconstruction, where all the rules are violated, and there's only internal logic rather than some accepted social logic or social protocols. The 12th functions on the basis of dream logic, but it's also profoundly private. And so you have this eclipse taking place on the public-private line. And the implication, I think, is that this says, be more open, be more sharing, be more real with others close to you about who you are, and give yourself the freedom and the privilege of being more real with yourself. It is easy to gloss things over. It is easy to make excuses. It is easy to pretend that something is not a certain way, or to pretend that you really do want to be happier and you don't really have words for that, or even describing any challenges that you have faced. Now, where there is some kind of indication of learning, growth, progress, and success, and something you can bank on, is that this year Venus has made a lot of really interesting moves. Venus retrograde starts right about there. Starts in early Aries. That's much earlier this year. Starts in early Aries. And then Venus went back into Pisces, then it made a conjunction to Chiron, and it stationed direct, and then it went back into Aries. Now, in the 2017 annual edition, I called the Libra interpretation the true mirror. And the true mirror is a device. I don't have one here. I've got a couple of them, including a nice wooden cabinet one, where it's a mirror that doesn't provide a mirror image. It's a mirror that gets around the whole problem of the mirror image. It's the kind of mirror where you hold up a newspaper and the print is readable. If you go in the bathroom mirror and hold the newspaper in front of it, you're looking basically at backwards text. If you hold newspaper up to a true mirror, it is you can read it. And I might have called the Libra reading the search for the true mirror, but it is based on the idea that relationships are mirrors in some way. Only that was an idea that I always found troubling, because in a mirror you see the opposite of what is true. When you're looking in a mirror, you see yourself in a way that no one actually sees you unless they're standing right behind you and looking in the mirror with you, which is somewhat awkward most of the time. And yet, when you look into a true mirror and you see an image of yourself as others see you, that is considered awkward. And it is, there are people who are consider it to be destabilizing. As the inventor of the true mirror cautioned me that there will be some people who look in the true mirror and who start crying, which is kind of an interesting thing to have. Yeah, as someone who spent a lot of time with people in front of mirrors, to watch someone take one glance in a mirror and break into tears because they've never seen that person before. Maybe you've seen it in photographs, but that's very different than seeing yourself in real time. And so the movement of Venus back and forth, Venus being your ruling planet, by the way, which is why the movement of Venus is so vital to you, particularly where it's ended up now at the time of the summer solstice. Venus has been giving you an opportunity to see yourself in various kinds of mirrors. Some have been false mirrors, some have been true mirrors. Some of the things that have possibly made you the most edgy and uncomfortable have been the true mirror. They are also some of the things that present you in the best possible light. And when Venus made its retrograde through Aries and back into Pisces and formed a long, like 8 or 9 day conjunction to Chiron in Pisces, there was something this spring about your need for healing, your specific healing quest that you were able to align with. And you may need to go back into your discussions with yourself in March and April and assess and remind yourself what that was. Question what was going on in your relationships. Consider what the content of those conversations were. How were they going? And how much did you identify as being something that was a factor in a relationship that was coming from you, that was that had its origins in your consciousness? Now, one of the things about healing, in particular healing relationships, is that it requires a tremendous amount of self-disclosure. You have to reveal yourself to the people that you are close to, or there really is no basis for trust. And so at the moment, Venus is back in Aries, and over basically the last week of May, it's going to make a series of conjunctions to the Uranus-Eris conjunction, right? So right now, as we're recording, Venus is right about there. And then it's going to form conjunction first to Eris, and then to Uranus. Now, this is a commentary on radical honesty. If anything describes the either inability or unwillingness to bullshit, to be someone other than who you are, this is the astrology. And then over the next few weeks, after that kind of exercise or exploration in radical honesty takes place, at the time of the summer solstice, both Venus and the moon are in your 8th house. And this to me represents a stabilizing of your new position of self-disclosure and honesty, because if the 12th is the house of secrets we won't tell to ourselves, and the 8th house is the secrets you tell one other person, as Bono said, right? A secret is something you tell one other person. Very wise observation of Mr. Bono. You're now in a position to reveal yourself to someone close to you. And it may surprise you who that is. This looks like, in many ways, fellowship among women, and you may find that it is a necessary time to have honest conversations with the women around you, whether you are male or female, but particularly if you are a woman. There's something about the lives of other women that once you get to that on a level of real contact, you will not feel so alone, and you will not feel isolated, and you may have a kind of a continuing, ongoing breakthrough of what is really right about relationships for you, because you could say that the last 7 to 10 years have presented you with a kind of a process of elimination to find out all that you don't like, all that is not right for you. And now it would seem that you're about to discover what is right. And whatever that is, whatever your personal truth is, it will be much more meaningful, let's say. I don't want to say your personal truth will not be meaningful unless you open up and share it with others, but let's say its meaning will be more evident and obvious, and something you can experience and celebrate if you are open and real about who you are. So this is the time to peel back veneers. And I want to close with one more idea and just describe what may end up being a kind of an extended 3 or 4 year repair phase after you have been through this pretty astonishing transit of Pluto through your 4th house of security, kind of undermining your security base, compelling you to find your own, and Uranus and Eris through your relationship house. Is that the next 2 really big moves that are made? Well, there's going to be 3. The first one is that Jupiter is going to come into Scorpio. And this is going to be really helpful for your self-esteem, particularly your sexual self-esteem. I know that I have a lot to say about sex, and I know that my viewpoint may be construed as biased in the direction of sex being important. But this is not merely a bias. This is a position I've been researching and considering and experimenting with and observing many clients and other therapists and other thinkers. Self-esteem is rooted in, I think, one's sense of their sexual wholeness. There may be other forms of self-esteem, but let's just talk about Libra. For Libra, your house of self-esteem is Scorpio, one of the most sexual signs, and is also the sign that most readily experiences sex as a biological function that's connected to existence, that's connected to existence, right? Most people don't connect sex with existence, right? But we wouldn't exist without sex, so we'd better be part of existence. And your self-esteem is rooted in Scorpio. Symbolically, this is an astrology chart. And when Jupiter continues to make its path through Libra and then in the autumn goes into Scorpio, you are likely to feel the truth that your sexual self-esteem is your self-esteem, particularly for you. This may not apply to other people, but I think that it would help nearly anyone to consider this concept. All right, so with that as a background, that happens first. Then the next thing that happens is just a little bit later in the year, around December, Saturn crosses into Capricorn. That's a homecoming. Saturn is the night ruler of Capricorn. You have Capricorn on the night side of your solar chart, and it is I think indicative of a process of repair of what Pluto has taken apart. Now, this has been so far 10-year process of Pluto taking it apart, and 2.5 years of Saturn in Capricorn are coming, but that is enough time to rebuild the foundation that you want. Now, it will be very helpful if you make peace with what you've learned about what you want, and accept what you've learned about what you want. And that's another way of saying being real with yourself about what you want. That might mean who you want. It might mean what you don't want. If you've endured anything going through all these transits, if you've endured anything relationally with Uranus in the 7th, making aspect after aspect to other planets, or Pluto in the 4th, if you've endured a family life, endured a relationship, this is indicative of a time of moving on from the enduring process and doing something better. The next thing that happens is in the spring of 2018, Chiron enters your 7th house. And that is a 9-year transit. So Chiron spends the most time of any planet, of any sign in Aries, 9 years in Aries. And to me, this looks like a focusing of all that you've learned and experienced and perhaps endured and celebrated, and the expectation that you can't really expect others to be anyone than who they are, and you can't expect others to simply change for you, and by the same token, you cannot change to appease other people, right? So Chiron in the 7th is going to focus this, and it will be initially the way Chiron tends to work is there is a status check. There's a reminder of the way things are. Now, you've got a good 9 months before Chiron first touches your 7th, then it will retrograde back into Pisces for one last experience in Pisces, and then later in 2017 will enter Aries to stay. So there's a transition phase in 2017. But there is a preparation phase that is happening now. And now is the time to, as my teacher Joe would say, use what you know. Practice using what you know. And it does take a lot of practice. Okay, so for the involution reading, I do suggest you get at least to your rising sign, possibly to your moon sign, and get that other viewpoint, and it's unlikely that anything I say will conflict between those signs, and so you have the the power to make a kind of a synthesis of the information coming from these different signs. All right, thank you for trusting me with this information. I know that it is inward, it is personal, and it is challenging, but very meaningful time to be born under the sign Libra or Libra rising right now. I have some personal experience with this. Planet Waves is Libra rising, and it has been a challenging but meaningful time for us as an organization, which strives to do this work for you and reach you. So, from me to you and my dog friends who are hiding around down there, thanks for listening. And I'm practicing staring at the green dot at the top of the computer so that you can actually see my eyes. When I do that, I can't see myself. So anyway, learning the video thing. not has not been easy to get in front of a video camera since this whole Trump thing happened. For what reason, I'm not sure, but I'm here doing it and thinking of you. So bless and thank you. Bye for now.